Oh! 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 Damn, yo!
Hey, we're going to talk about the fact that the cities in our country are starting to burn. And once these cities start to burn, we should look at them as a signal, some kind of an early warning sign for those of us who don't live in the city, as this could potentially spread. This could potentially come our way. And the cities burning is one of the first scenarios we talk about in any SHTF scenario. It's kind of on the list and in order of things that we expect in a progression of an SHTF style event. So let's recap a little bit really quickly so we have something to base some of our theories on. So first and foremost, we started with the pandemic. That then rolled into the situation of lockdowns and restrictions and necessary wearing of PPE and everything else related to it, which a lot of people then lost their jobs and businesses were shut down. Suddenly the economy became the next victim of the current SHTF scenario. So now we're talking about an economic collapse. So we went from pandemic into an economic collapse, which is now resulting in civil unrest, which of course there was an event that triggered the civil unrest and caused all of the riots and looting and everything else related to that event right now. However, had these original pieces not been in place to where we were seeing the pandemic turn into an economic collapse, which is now turning into civil unrest, that is what we would have expected with any SHTF scenario. And the reason for that is because once people are under a certain amount of duress, and once people are under a certain amount of stress, and they feel like they're cornered, this is what happens. It's eventual no matter what SHTF scenario we're talking about. It is the inevitability. And right now, we are seeing the cities actually burn. This is a real analogy. This is something we have to think about. The cities burning is our early warning sign as to trouble on the way, because these events that we've already witnessed have actually snowballed into the current situation. And whether or not you are in an area affected directly by the unrest that's currently going on, you are going to be affected by it if things continue to escalate. There's a lot of speculation out there. There's a lot of people thinking that this can actually turn into some kind of a different style of unrest in the sense of maybe a revolution of some kind or something like that. If that continues to escalate, things are going to get a lot more strict and a lot more drastic. And yes, we're talking about things like martial law. We're talking about use of force. We're talking about the government maintaining control regardless of what that means. And that is a place that none of us really ever want to find ourselves. And if you're worried about where our world is heading when it comes to the SHTF events we're witnessing right now and what our country is going to look like here in the future and how you're going to maintain your lifestyle and take care of your family during all of the events that are currently happening, hit the subscribe button below, because we need to keep talking about it. And this is definitely a very interesting time in our lives. I don't think the powder keg has ever been more explosive than it is right now. And people need to realize that when you're in a prepared mindset, when you're prepping for SHTF events, that this is the order of business. This is just what is already expected. If you read any SHTF related literature of how to survive some kind of an apocalyptic event when it comes to an urban environment especially, we've gone down the list of things. There's always a trigger moment. There is a catalyst that gets the thing rolling, right? And as of right now, we all know the catalyst was, the pandemic, which got everything started. That pandemic led into economic collapse, which, in my opinion, as a prepper and as somebody who worries about these things, is the worst thing that we can expect, because once an economic collapse starts, everything else starts to fall in place, because it's really the end-all say-all on whatever our country is able to do and how we're going to move forward. So, we saw the economic collapse start to occur. Yes, are we technically in one right this second? That's up to you. And that depends on your personal situation, in my opinion, because look, if you have lost your job and you're out of work and you don't have the income that you used to have to be able to support your family with, it doesn't matter if anyone else is in an economic collapse right now. You are, and this is where things are heading. So once that happened, now what happens next? Well, if I didn't even know about all the events that are circulating around our current situation here, I would have told you most likely civil unrest. And the reason for that is because these are the orders of business. This is exactly what happens during an SHTF scenario. We're watching the beginning of one right now.